right. What are your names?
Tracy Ambler.
And Nancy Ambler.
And where are you guys from originally?
Massachusetts, Cape Cod, Massachusetts.
You both are? Okay.
Actually, I was born in Massachusetts.
Oh, cool.
You mean originally?
We lived there most recently on Cape Cod.
Ah, got ya. Is that where you guys own a home at?
We don't own a home.
No, previously.
We did, yeah.
Got ya.
Cape Cod. Tracy actually comes from Connecticut, if you're looking for birth state.
Oh, that's far.
Connecticut? The other coast.
From here.
Where we are today.
So how long have you guys been full-time?
2 years and 2 weeks.
About that, yep.
Since July 8th of 2013.
And what made you want to go full-time?
Well, we decided we wanted to see a lot of the country, Nancy in particular. I had seen more of it than she had. We lived in the Northeast, and we were thinking we would probably want to move anyway to a warmer climate at some point. And so we decided we would sell our house and hit the road and see the country.
How long did it take you guys to decide that?
2-mile walk.
Yeah, to decide about a half an hour.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's wonderful.
We walked by the Atlantic Ocean, and one of us proposed the idea, and we were done, and he quit his job about a month later.
A little bit later than that, but yeah, we did some research and stuff to see if it.
Yeah, we worked on it between then
sense.
and when we left. But that
it
was
another,
February.
Yeah, February. So
and
it was
we left in July.
Another 4.5 months.
And currently, what kind of rig are you living in?
A New Way hitchhiker.
All right, and this is a very nice fifth wheel.
Yeah. Yep.
How many rigs have you guys owned?
In our whole lives?
Yeah.
Can we start with tents? We started with tents, and then we had a pop top, and then we had a C style, or C
type,
class or type, and then we had we actually a couple of times went RVing in his father's 35 or 40 foot long motorhome, and then we had a Trailmanor hard-sided pop top.
Yeah, on this trip, we're getting into this trip now. We started out with a Trailmanor
pop top,
hard-sided pop top, and after a few months, we traded that in for this.
So you guys lived full-time in the pop top?
Yeah.
How was that?
It was fine. Yeah, we were in it for 4 months.
It was not a rubber, not a canvas type pop top. It's all hard-sided, 27 or 8 feet long. Something like that.
31, 24. So 31 feet when it was.
Right, at a king-size bed and a kitchen and a bathroom and a shower.
And 24 feet when it's collapsed.
Yeah, and then we had the terrible bug problem that I mentioned before.
Mm-hmm.
And once we got infested and were fumigated and battled the bugs for several weeks, we got rid of them the best we could and traded up for this.
So, in your opinion, do you guys like to pull a fifth wheel or a trailer better? What's easier for you guys to pull?
To pull? Oh,
yeah.
The trailer.
The trailer?
Sure.
Got ya.
Smaller, lighter.
Oh, yeah. I got ya. What does your family think of you guys full-timing?
They're quite happy with it. We've seen everybody, all of our kids and other relatives a few times since we've been on the road.
They're a little astounded at first.
Yeah.
There were few tears at the beginning. My sister and his sister wasn't, we lived in New England where most of our family lived, and we took off. Although neither one of us has living parents, that was a big factor. But our siblings and children were a little bent out of shape at first, but I think they all like it now. As Tracy said, we see them.
Do you guys ever let them come camping with you?
Would be anyone can, yeah.
Got ya.
But our daughter has been in the camper 1 or 2 nights, and my sister 1 or 2 nights, and a granddaughter 1 night, and friends one couple once. It's very spacious for
2
us.
couples.
Oh, 2 couples we've had.
At different times.
And
yes.
It's very spacious for us, but it's very crowded for 4 people.
When you guys travel, do you guys boondock ever? No, you're always at a
No.
campground?
Yes.
Got ya. What's your average stay then at a campground?
Right now, it's 3 days because we're trying to get back to the East Coast for a family wedding. We spend a lot of our time targeting dates and places to go for family events or friend events, weddings, showers, baby births. We've had a grandchild be conceived and born while we've been on this trip, and we sort of judge our travel by where we have to be next.
We've stayed a couple of weeks a few times at places, or up to a week, and other times only one night, I guess, but those are pretty
Yeah,
infrequent.
that's rare.
It's usually 3 or 4 nights.
What's the longest stay you guys have had?
2 weeks, I think,
2 weeks.
in several different places.
Wow, that's real traveling. Because we've stayed 3 months at a time. I thought that was a short time.
Oh no. Well, we've seen a lot of states, and we have not been able to. When we say we've seen them, we'll go to one place or 2 places or 3 places in the state, spend a few days, see what there is to be seen relatively nearby, which is one of the advantages of pulling a fifth wheel. You just take your truck and go. But we haven't thoroughly investigated a state and driven all over the place and really gotten to know it. We've just had a sampling.
Got ya.
Yeah, as you saw our map, we've seen 46 of the lower 48 states, and we'll get the other 2 on our way back east. Our goal was not to see all 48 states as quickly as possible, but it was to see a bunch of things which took us around the country, and then we decided
We'd seen a lot.
we'll see a lot of the states. We're thinking we'll probably stay longer this fall in some places, maybe a month at a time.
So you guys, have you had any learning curves since becoming full-time? Any issues, since becoming full-time?
Yes, to all of the above, I'm sure. Learning curves.
What kind of learning curves have you guys encountered?
Well, you answered yes.
Well, I knew nothing about RV, and I knew about RVs a little bit, but certainly not about a fifth wheel. Tracy's the driver, the repairman, the rig repairman. I don't know whether any of that was learning. It's mostly just past experience, so he's already familiar with it. But a lot of parts of it are new and different. When you say learning curve, living in a small space, having collapsible dishes and pots and pans, sometimes having water that's potable, sometimes not having water, sometimes having TV, no TV. You just learn different ways to live your life.
Yes, that's true. And that depends on the campground as well.
Oh,
Oh,
hugely. On the campground. It's always kind of a crapshoot when you pull in. What are we going to have? You can read what you're going to have, but are you really going to have all those things? And are you in a city campground where you're packed in a parking lot like sardines, or are you in, Florida has magnificent state parks. You go in, you're in the woods, you have a spacious campsite, and you can have fires, and you can spread out, and you can drink your coffee at your picnic table in the morning. And then other places, we were at the smallest campsite we've ever been at recently outside of Seattle, Washington, and we physically couldn't fit between the truck and the rig. We had inches between the two. It was just like sardines.
Couldn't really fit between the truck and the rig here either.
No, we could not.
Park the truck remotely.
Gaia. Are there any memberships that you guys have that you would recommend to other people?
Several of them.
Sure. Passport America is probably the number one because it costs practically nothing and it saves you a lot of money.
Yeah, you save your money in 1 or 2 camps.
Yep.
The campsites are half off during the week.
That's good.
Oh yeah, it's very good. It's definitely it's like $40 for the year.
Thousand Trails is much more expensive to get into initially, and then you pay a few $100 a year, but you stay at their campsites for either $0 or $3 a night.
We try and take advantage
So
of that.
yeah, we go to those when they're in the neighborhood.
You can stay there for up to 2 weeks. Some of the places we've stayed for 2 weeks have been at those, so we have no expense for camp renting for those weeks. And they're usually nice sites. They're clean. They have facilities like laundries and things. And also, like in the winter months down south, people are there for the whole winter. So there's some camaraderie among the people who live there.
SKPs is another good one for full-timers because then they have affiliations with other campgrounds where you get a discount, but they also have a mail service for full-timers.
Is that who you go through for your mail?
Yeah.
Okay.
We do.
Have you had any issues with them?
Not really with them. I mean, they sent us a package once of the many times they sent us packages, and somehow it fell off the FedEx truck and got run over. And so we finally got it a week later, and you could see a big tire mark on it and all that. But I don't think it was their problem. I think it was the FedEx.
They're very good.
FedEx people. No, they're good.
We'll call one day and they put things into the mail the next day, and it arrives whether we're going to a friend's house or the next campsite. It'll be there.
What is your favorite place that you guys have been to so far?
There is no one.
There's no one favorite?
I wrote a 2-page story on that. I'll let you read at some point.
Yeah, I don't.
What are some favorites, or what are some places you would highly recommend travelers see?
National parks.
Yeah, it depends what you want to see. If you haven't been around the country much and you've been in sort of one part of the country and not familiar with other parts of the country, go to national parks, go to state parks. There's only one national park in the Northeast, but there are a lot of state parks. The scenery is terrific. Go to cities. A lot of cities you can go on hop on, hop off bus tours and things like that. Even cities you think you might know something about, those are worthwhile.
Right, and getting on the buses and just seeing town, but mostly it's natural beauty, wildlife, mountains, hills, both oceans we've seen several times in several different places. We have toured colleges. We've probably seen 13 different or more presidential homes. We've seen historic sites. We have seen 13 national parks, I think. I mean, we have seen lists and lists of things, but
yeah, I don't think there's any one thing that stands out.
Some different slices of Americana we have loved. Like one night we were in West Virginia, and they asked us, "Do you like bluegrass music?" And a group of about 5 musicians were practicing, and we are talking self-proclaimed hillbillies, big long beards. One man was playing a homemade dobro, gorgeous instrument. And we just sat in a barn and listened to them play, and then the people who owned the campsite fed us homemade soup from their vegetable garden, and little things like that are not the highlight of our life, but they were certainly fun. We went the first week we were camping. It was pouring rain. We arrived at a campsite, a very crowded, tight little campsite in Maine, and in their store, which was a pretty good sized camp store, they were having a family party because one of their sons was going back into the service on deployment, and they invited us, and we stayed, and we had pizza, homemade pizza, and fresh fruit and beers, and the family members were playing mandolins and guitars, and they were dancing, and all of a sudden we were part of the family. It was terrific. But those are not the kinds of things that you plan on or you schedule for your trip.
Right.
And there are a lot of those.
Do you guys have any advice for people who are considering this lifestyle, are thinking about it, or are pretty new about it?
I'm not sure what advice to get. We had done, as we mentioned earlier, with our list of various rigs that we've had over the years. We had done camping earlier in our lives when our kids were young and that kind of thing. So when we talked to some people about doing this, they said, well, suppose you get out there and you decide you hate camping, then what? You own this rig and all that. We knew we weren't going to hate camping because we'd already done a fair amount of it earlier on, so that wasn't really an issue. So I'm not sure what advice I'd give to someone who hasn't ever really done any camping, other than maybe
rent a rig.
Rent a rig. Try it for a couple of weeks or a month, and if you hate it, then at least you haven't spent thousands and thousands of dollars on buying one. But Other than that, I
Don't get taken in by buying fancy new
yeah,
rigs.
don't buy a rig new. Buy it used.
Absolutely. The woman next door to us, between where you are and we are, has a 40-foot Winnebago, and everyone in the world knows that name, rig that cost $100,500. It cost $150,000 new. She just got it with 50,000 miles on it for $35,000, I think she said. So who would go buy a new one? I don't know.
Good advice. So what are your future plans? Any? Maybe just are you gonna full time until you just don't want to anymore, and then find somewhere to settle permanently?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, our immediate plans are to get back to the East Coast for a family wedding in September, and then head down the coast, spend some time in Georgia and Florida.
We're looking at Georgia as a possible retirement place.
We're thinking we are retired.
Well,
We're
really
thinking
retired.
we're
Like,
thinking that we'll
stay at home retired.
Maybe move to Georgia. We're not quite ready to do that yet, but within the next year or two, probably.
Oh, that's pretty soon. You guys still look pretty young. I figured you'd
Well,
go for another 10, 15 years.
That was part of our thinking as to doing this. Was we wanted to do this while we were young.
Well, on the young end of retirement.
On the young end of retirement.
Yeah.
Because we didn't know, how much life might slow down 10 years from now, and we really wouldn't feel up to it. So, I don't know. I mean, we could still be doing this for several more years. We don't really have an end date, but we'll see.
Sounds wonderful. I thank you so much for your interview, and I'm sure everyone is going to enjoy it and get some good advice. So thank you for your time.
Sure.
Our pleasure.